you served under Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
I did.
What was that like? Shifting, I know a lot, but we talked a lot about enough about
so
HR.
The crazy part about all that, when I was actually under that, I was still straight. And I was married, and so
I didn't know you were married.
Yeah, I was married for 7 years.
Wow.
Amazing. Christine was an amazing, amazing woman.
Yeah.
She definitely taught me a lot and taught me what it was like to be a good partner. And so she's an amazing individual. And
that's great.
I got to, when did they repeal it? It was
2011.
2011.
September.
So I was married. Yeah. So, we divorced.
The end of that government fiscal year, September. Yeah. September. Yeah.
And, so it was, I kind of came in after it, but I will say that it's so super hard. It was kind of hard for me when I, came out and I'm in the military, because I was still almost afraid of the stigma being 5 years later.
It didn't drop immediately.
And I've been lucky, everyone's been super accepting of it being, because I think around that time I actually left out of being a line unit and went into the instructing world.
Uh-huh.
And so that was always the instructors were always kind of a special breed, if you will. Almost like a bunch of misfits put together. And then I came back to a line unit, and that's almost, I'm thinking, oh my God, do I get to be me? Do I get to be natural?
Right.
Do I get to be whatever? And then I thought, fuck this. Like, I'm going to be who I am.
Yeah.
And I've been open. And I was also super lucky because the unit that I went into, my commander, she was also gay.
Oh,
so
nice.
it's kind of like, the two leaders are like, and we both played softball. And so it was great because she helped open that. And then, and now she's out of there, and I have a new commander. But it was just one of those, I was still kind of timid about it, but then I thought, God, it's 2020.
Yeah.
It's been some time. We need to change that mindset.
Yeah. It's interesting because I got my orders ended that same month that the repeal happened.
So how was that for you?
Well, the shitty part of it was I put in my paperwork to start working on my commission, and moved up to an E6, but I had to go through the physical and everything, and then they discovered the heart stuff, and they were just like, you can't continue on on the commission. As a matter of fact, don't know if you could stay in.
Right.
And that was heartbreaking because the military was the one thing in my life that I felt at the time was a constant in my life.
Yeah.
That was very reliable. I had sisterhood, I had brotherhood, I had experiences to this day that will last my life that have made me who I am. Not saying screw a 4-year degree, but I learned more in that time than I did ever in a classroom.
Right.
And so I was just brokenhearted because also I had led I had started the national dialogue from Hawaii to start gauging our soldiers in the different units having after hours dialogues in regard to what do y'all feel about the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Now, being in a place like Hawaii at the time, it's a little more progressive. People are more laid back. It's aloha. We're laid back. I mean, they wear Hawaiian shirts with their BDUs out on the flight line. So I don't know if it was a hard thing to go against that bureaucratic system to say, I'd like to start a focus group and dialogue. How's that? And they were like, okay. But when the repeal, but I had been through 2 investigations before going out to Hawaii. There was it was suspicion. I at the time when I was coming out, there was a fight with my with the family, the struggle, and I know you know a little bit about my family situation with that. And I think it's not proven, but someone called to tip them off at the base. And
That's awful.
and so then it started. It was a 6 month thing, and I just denied. I denied. And eventually it just went off. They actually sent twice. They sent somebody out to even my work, to try to talk to people and everything. And I had a top secret security clearance,
Oh wow.
and because I worked in public affairs, and so it was disheartening, but I got through it.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times during the dialogues, people, they didn't care. Now again, this was in Hawaii, and we built
Right.
just a little. I didn't build this like purposeful framework. I got calls from other bases to say, hey, we'd like to start a similar dialogue here. How
Yeah.
have you done it? And I'm just like, what do you mean? We just pizza, beer, and the family event center, like on
Right.
base, like that. They allowed us to do some stuff, and that's basically what it was. And just
Mhm.
documenting how were your feelings, and people didn't care as long as you did your job.
Right.
As long as you did your job,
Right.
they didn't care. And it was still upholding what the values were: integrity first, service before self, excellence in all we do. Those were the values. Those were the core principles and the values of the Air Force, and how it got us to our mission.
Yeah.
And it was more simple than most of the leaders that. So I didn't, and I knew I wanted to start that dialogue when
Right.
the discussion on the legislation was coming up. And because I had been through an investigation, and I was
Yeah.
like, I want to at least start talking about this, because surely this can't be that big of a deal.
Right.
Because I'm seeing some queens out on the flight line, and I'm
Right.
like, and I know. And so I was just like, this can't. And I'd be on deployments and stuff, and you get to you have the shots and the beers, in the mountains of Kyrgyzstan or wherever you're at,
Yeah.
on a deployment, and you get to know people.
Yeah.
And they could say don't ask, don't tell, but it's like you're having a conversation at a happy hour or somebody
Yeah.
with another soldier, and it's like, and when it comes down to it, my dialogue started from, hey, I don't care, man. I love you as long as you're here. And I missed that.
Yeah.
I missed that. And I was like, that was still a workplace.
Yeah.
That was still a workplace. And for a leader or a soldier or a fellow service member to say, I don't care, man, as long as you're here protecting my
Right.
ass and I'm protecting you, I love you no matter what, dude.
Right.
Like that to me meant more to me in that moment than the investigation. And I think and then I took that and I was like, we need to start having these critical conversations, because people don't really fucking care.
They don't.
It could be one leader with this major fucking ego
Right.
that wants to keep control of this thing that they think that would disrupt the mission. But that's not the case, because there's been no calibration or engaging of the soldier or the member of anybody to find out what's really going on.
Right. And it's funny you say that, because it kind of goes back to the whole with this last administration and the whole, transgender people serving in the military, and
Yeah.
we're not going to allow them to serve because we're trying to protect them.
Right.
I know transgender people in the military, and no one gives two shits.
No one
They
gives two
don't.
shits.
It's like, as long as you, like you said, as long as you got my back, I got yours. As long as the mission gets completed, that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and to me, that was such a conundrum when I hear that, because I'm thinking that one of the themes of military, I mean, I loved basic training. I loved it.
I did too.
Would I go through it again?
And
Probably
we're in
not.
HR.
Yeah.
We could. Would
I probably want to do it again? It's one of those experiences I had fun with, and I'm like, would I be able to do the same thing? Because, like you said, it's all mentality.
We love suffering.
I'm right. It's like,
We
put a
thrive
friggin'
through
iron to my
suffering.
skin. And I mean, because I loved like everything about it. And it's, you grew with these people and you worked with them. And I joined during the campaign of an army of one.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very, okay, if you're weak, we're all weak.
Right.
I don't want to say suffer. We all will improve if you have to improve.
Right.
And it was really great because we learned how to help carry each other and, push people. And I think that's some of the things that we're training soldiers like that. And, even though that might not be the campaign this time, it's still what they resonate in their training.
Yeah.
So it's like to sit here and tell, well, we're not going to allow these people who are transgender to serve because we want to protect them. What are we protecting them from?
Mm-hmm.
Like what? I mean, and it goes, like you said, it goes back to that whole ego,
Mm-hmm.
or this is where my mind and my values are. That's how I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to drive this policy.
Yeah.
Again, it's, you've got to take that out. You got to take your personal beliefs, your religious beliefs, your
Bias. You just
bias.
gotta take it out of
Got to
it.
take it out of it and say, you know what? Let's look at this from a neutral perspective and look at the end of the day, the mission.